Stop talking about comic books or I'll kill you. I don't care if the Hulk could defeat the Man of Steel.
Hey there, comic fam. It's me, Bullseye Bob, and welcome to Everything Comics. And welcome to another episode of Having Comics with My Coffee. This is the 38th episode. We're finally here, and I'm so glad to be back. As you guys know, I wasn't here last week. I was pretty sick, and glad that that's all over with because that was pretty nasty. And then since then we've had the fires that are out here. I know Bueller's been affected. I've been affected. Everybody's been affected out here. You just can't get away from it. It's so smoky outside that the visibility is like, I mean, I can barely see across the street. So it's just weird. Can't wait for 2020 to be over. I know that you guys probably are saying the same thing. I'm getting tired of people saying this is unprecedented. Even though it is, it just keeps going and going. So I just can't wait till all this is over. Or maybe this is the new normal. I don't know, but I don't like it. So Having Comics with My Coffee, this is the show where I normally get together with you in a local coffee shop. But as you can see, I'm back here in the Bob Cave. I actually did go to the Refuge coffee house this morning and got some great cold brew. I got to see Keith and Kimmy. It was pretty awesome. But being the way things are, I completely forgot my tripod. Completely forgot my mic adapter, and so I ended up not filming at the Refuge this morning. But I'm coming to you live and in living color from the new Bob Cave, and it's just so good to be back and filming another episode. Of course, I got my cold brew from the Refuge, so I'm doing good there. And most of you guys already know this, but the Refuge is at 9217 Southeast Foster Road, right here in Portland. It's one of the best coffee shops out here. They make a mean cold brew, and it's just a great place to hang out. If you're going to be in Portland, let me know, and let me know you'd like to get together. I would more than love to do that. We can get together, have some coffee, talk about comics, talk about whatever you want. But that's what we do here in Portland, man, coffee and comics. And so anyway, it's good to see you guys. I really missed you. And I'm just so glad to be able to be back and filming another episode. So listen, we have a lot of great comics that came out this week, and I can't wait to review them. But of course, before we do that, we have our announcements. I do have a few announcements, and right now on the screen you're going to see a timestamp that'll let you know where the reviews begin in the video. So if you want to skip the announcements and go straight to the reviews, you're more than welcome to do so. And so let's just go ahead and get into our announcements. And the first one is this last Friday, our latest battle draft was supposed to happen, and because of the fires, because of everything that was going on, I had to postpone it. And I don't have a good way of being able to let everybody know when something's postponed. I see Bueller, sometimes he'll post a short video that's like not in his normal video list, but it kind of lets everybody know what's going on. I need to figure out how to do that, so at least I can let you guys know, hey, we're not going to have this going on. But anyway, we are still going to have the battle draft. I haven't really talked to the guys yet. I'm looking at Friday, September 25th will be our next battle draft, and I'm really looking forward to this one. As like I said in the last video, I got a scenario for this one, which I'm really excited about. And basically what it is that the League of Assassins from DC Comics, that's right, the organization under Ra's al Ghul, however you say it, I don't care. It's an awesome organization. And but a portal has opened up, and they have come to Earth 616, and they've dropped right into the middle of Hell's Kitchen, and they're planning on taking over and making that their base of operations first. So what we're doing is we're driving our best Marvel street level team to combat this threat. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Hero and the Kid's going to be there. Dylan from Dylan's Comics. Robbie from Pop Culture Philosophers. Bueller will be there. And of course, yours truly. And it is the next big battle draft. So make sure that you're there. And we'll make sure that we shore up the announcement as far as the actual date. But I'm looking at September 25th. So look forward to that. Next thing is on Monday, I'm going to do an unboxing video. I haven't done one for a little while. I got a couple things that have come in, and I'm really excited to open them. And you get to see me open them firsthand. And I got some CGC stuff, and then I got a package that Matt from the Boy Who Had 7, he sent me because I won a contest, and then I bought some stuff from auction from him. And so I'm really excited to open this stuff. And hey, join me on Monday night. I'm going to do that at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it'll be a lot of fun. So check it out. And then last but not least, I'm on another show. That's right, I am on the Comics with Bueller channel, my good buddy Bueller. We get together every Monday morning, 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for the new Coffee and Comic Show. And actually, it's called the brand new Coffee and Comic Show. This is a show where we do the same thing. We have comics, we have coffee, and we discuss some of the latest topics in the comics industry, and we've been having so much fun with it. Last week, of course, I couldn't be on, and he had his good friend, I think his name's Dylan, was on. He did a phenomenal job, and look, guys, that's one of my favorite parts of the week. I cannot wait to be back for this week. If you haven't checked out that show, basically every Wednesday, Bueller puts out a preview video. It is the most watched preview video on YouTube for all your comic books that are coming out the following week. And on that video, he poses a question, which we use to drive our conversation. And we use your comments. And so go check out his video from this last Wednesday for the books that we're releasing September 9th. And check out the question. This week's question is variants. Are they out of control? And I know a lot of people have a lot of thoughts on variants. I know we visited that topic last year. I think we want to focus on exclusive variants this time, but there's a lot of things that have changed in the last year, and we're going to talk about that particular topic, and I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. So check it out, Comics with Bueller, and leave your comment, and maybe we'll use your comment to drive that conversation, but definitely check it out. Okay, so we have a lot of great comics that came out this week, and so this will be a little bit longer of a show. But before we get into our reviews, we always start with our cover of the week. And of course, our cover of the week is brought to you by TKO Studios. If you have not been to TKO, go check out their website. There's a link down in the description. Go check out what they got. They got a lot of great comics. They put them out in 2 different formats. They put them out in box sets where you get all 6 issues in one box, and it fits really nice on your bookshelf. Looks really cool. And or you can get the trade paperback of that particular story. Both ways are really, really well done. They're packaged nicely, and they're putting out a lot of great content. Go check out and see what they have. If there's something there that you like, you can use the code EVERYTHING20 and you'll get 20% off your purchase. How can you beat that? 20% off of a comic book purchase. Come on, we're looking to save money any way that we can, and that's a great way for you to be able to get your comic thing on and save 20%. So go check them out. But this week's cover of the week, couldn't wait to show you guys this one. I know a lot of you have probably already seen it already, but this week's cover of the week is Rise of Ultraman #1 by Marvel Comics. And this cover by Alex Ross, I was just blown away. Most of you don't know this, but when I was a kid, I was a huge Ultraman fan. I used to run home every day from school when I was in the 2nd grade just so I could make it there. So for the beginning of the show and hear that famous theme song, and I just loved Ultraman. And so if you would have told me when I got into comics that one of my favorite comic artists would do a version of Ultraman himself, I would have said you're crazy. But here we go. Alex Ross does this beautiful a cover for the first issue of The Rise of Ultraman. And I think the thing I like the most about this is that he didn't make it anatomically correct. He made it look like the guy wearing the suit in the show. You can see the creases in the actual suit, and I just love that because it's reminiscent of what I saw when I was a kid. Of course, in the comic, you don't see those creases. It's him, so it's not a suit. But look at that. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And I got my geek on this week because I got Ultraman in comics, in Marvel, which I never thought would ever happen, and this, an Alex Ross cover. So there you are in all its glory. That's my cover of the week. Alex Ross, Rise of the Ultraman. Okay, so on to our first book. And our first book is The Red Mother, #8. This one by Boom Studios. And of course, this one's written by Jeremy Hahn and the art by Danny Luckert. Now, the first thing I'm going to tell you is I am not going to say that this book is a slow burn. I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. But I did want to mention that last month I did give this book a minor ding. I had talked about there were some things going on that I thought were arbitrary. And thank you, CMA Thunder, for pointing out what I had missed in that kind of arbitrary thing. And it actually made this issue more exciting. And I would say that this issue definitely, the pace changed a bit. So it's not a slow burn. I'm not going to call it a slow burn. But I did like the pace in this one much better than last couple of issues. I've really been, don't get me wrong, I've really been enjoying this book. I think it's phenomenal. And but I really liked how it picked up inside of this book. And then also there's a horror movie vibe that's going on that I finally kind of picked up on because of the fact that you start to see that there's all these people who kind of are in the know and our main character is not. It kind of gives like a Stepford Wives or a Rosemary's Baby type feel where the main character is not like in on, you know, the big reveal until the end, but we all know what's going on. We're watching it unfold. And but I really like the way they handled the main character inside of this one. We get that creepy ghoul creature that's been coming out. I really still think that that's her boyfriend that we lost in the very first book. We'll see what happens. But if you haven't been on this book, definitely hop on it. It is such a fun read. It's not a slow burn. It's just a great paced book that keeps you glued in suspense. It has a lot of elements that bring up things from other genres and horror movies, and it's just a really, really fun read. And so Boom Studios has been doing such a phenomenal job, and I think that Jeremy Hahn is such a good writer. I love his dialogue. I love the pace, the cadence that he has inside of this, and so definitely is one of those things where Red Mother just keeps putting out great books every month. So okay, on to our next book, and we got Flash number 761 by DC Comics. Of course, this was written by the great Joshua Williamson, and the art is by Howard Porter. Now, this is it, folks. I mean, this is the penultimate issue, the issue before the final issue of Williamson's run, and of course, you know, I've been loving this. But I really think that DC is shooting themselves in the foot by letting Williamson go on to do something else. And maybe this is Williamson's, request. Maybe he's, told the story that he wants to tell. But I'm going to completely miss it. Flash is going away. Suicide Squad is going away. I think those are two of DC's best titles. And I really am kind of wondering what is going to take their place because I've really been enjoying both of those. But here we are. We have this huge battle that has been set up from the last book. And this book was absolutely batshit crazy. We have so many of Flash's rogues going up against about every speedster that you could ever think of in a huge battle royale. Now, in the beginning of this battle royale, I think there's so much going on that it's kind of it's disjointed. It doesn't feel connected, and I don't know where that's coming from, but it was kind of like hit, but not in such a way that had continuity. And so I was kind of not confused, but kind of lost for a little bit until it settles into what this book is going to do. And then you get that great Williamson, normal cadence and just greatness. So I don't know, maybe leave a comment, let me know what you thought about that. But one of the things that happens is once this book settles in is that you get kind of two different stories. I don't want to say stories, but the battle splits off into two different ways. You have all these speedsters besides Barry going up against all the rogues, and then over here on the side you have just Barry and Reverse Flash going up against each other, which is kind of cool. But it kind of sets it up for two completely different things to happen. You got all these little speedsters. I say little because a lot of them are young. You have Jay Garrick there too, so you got the young and the old, but most of them are young. And but they're trying to figure out a vibrational frequency to send all these rogues back to their timelines. which is good. This is how they're going to do it. I mean, it's a very simple way, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And then you have basically Reverse Flash revealing to Barry another secret, which sets Barry off. And the very last page, we have Barry chasing down Thawne with the intent of murdering him again. That seems to be a theme with Barry, and this last storyline is he's going to kill Thawne. And the last page, of course, the end of the book is called The Finish Line, and it touts it as the very last time that Flash will race Reverse Flash. Do I believe that? Heck no. But I'm on board. I can't wait to read it. It's been such an awesome run, and this was such a fun book. So there you have it. So next up, we have Web of Venom Rays, #1. This one by Marvel Comics. Of course, this is written by Donny Cates, and the art is by Gio Villanova. I'm not sure how to say his first name. It's kind of weird looking. But this was a very fun read. I really got into this very quickly. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on here, but I'll give you the basic premise. So the basic premise of this book is you have Wraith, who has this power that he's been given, and he also has a teleporter gauntlet that's part of that, and he gets the premonition that Null has been released, and he has this encounter with Null, and he's basically tossed aside and thrown out into space, and as he's floating out, seemingly ready to die, I don't know if it's the power or what comes to him and basically lets him know that there is a force of light that is coming to basically combat Null. And but he needs to get this message that he's been given to Eddie Brock. He needs to get to Earth and let him know. And he's got to use that teleporter gauntlet, which will probably use the last of his power to get there. And so that's what we have at the end of this book, is him showing up and letting Eddie know he's coming. This was such a fun read, and I got so many different theories about what's going on. I had a conversation with Robbie from Pop Culture Philosophers, because the first thing on my mind was, is this being set up, and is Donny Cates shooting himself in the foot, and is this being set up to, pardon the pun, nullify Null? It just kind of seemed funny that we got this big event coming. He's already setting him up to be defeated by something other than what we know of the Marvel in the Marvel universe. Some of the things Robbie told me was pretty awesome, and I'm a little more settled now. I'm really on board, and I think we have some great things coming. I have my own theories that I put out there as well. It was a great conversation. He gave me a shout out, so I'm going to give him a shout out. If you haven't been over to Pop Culture Philosophers, you need to go over there and check it out. Every Tuesday night, it is a ritual for me. Part of my Tuesday night is waiting for his comic book reviews to drop. He does the best comic book reviews on YouTube, and so you got to check him out. It's a must. You have to see his channel, and he's a friend of the show, and he's an awesome dude. So definitely go check him out and give him a subscribe. But here we go. I really think there's some great things that are going to come from this. I'm so on board with it. I don't know if we're ever going to see the Wraith character again. It kind of leaves it, I don't know, open-ended there a little bit. But I really dug the way he looks, the way he is driven, and I'd hate to see him go. But I really think he was more of a vehicle for this next part of what's going on. And so we'll see what happens. Such fun. It's such a fun read. All right, so on to our next book, which is Nightwing #74 by DC Comics. Of course, this is written by Dan Jurgens and the art by Ryan Benjamin. So here we are, the loosely tied tie-in to the Joker War, and unlike the Batgirl title, I really thought that this story was far more enjoyable. Last issue we left off, we had Dickie Boy on his way to take out the other two Robins, Red Hood, Jason Todd, and Robin Damian Wayne, and he's going to kill them both. And so that's basically what we have. We have this meet up, and kind of it takes a while for Robin and Red Hood to realize that this is not the Dick Grayson that they know, that this is Dickie Boy. And we have Joker and Punchline up on the roof watching the whole thing unfold. Joker acting like the proud father of his son, who's finally going to carry on his work and kill Jason Todd. And so the book is a lot of fun. I love the way Dan Jurgens set this up. In the end, we have Batgirl showing up on the scene, and her and Jason and Damian all start pleading with Dick Grayson because they know he's inside of there, and that's basically what happens. He starts to get back in touch with who he is, and in the breaking of this crystal that's been driving him this whole time, that's been controlling him, that's been giving him all these thoughts that he's been brainwashed with, he finally is free of that, and we have Dick Grayson back. And at the end, Batman shows up, and we are now seeing the dynamic duo reunited, and that's part of what's going on inside of the Joker War. Anyway, as of next issue, it looks like Nightwing will return back to normal. I'll be glad. I really didn't like the whole brainwashing thing where he became a Talon. I didn't mind so much the Joker storyline here where he becomes Dickie Boy. I thought that was a lot of fun, but I'm over the brainwashing stuff. Glad to have Dick Grayson back. We'll check out Nightwing next month and see what happens. But this is a fun read. You should definitely check this one out. Next, we have Vampire Masquerade, Winter's Teeth, #2. This one by Vault Comics. Okay, so here's how out of touch I am with this title. I have had it for quite a while inside of my inbox. Vault sends me pre-release copies for review, and which is really great. But really, seriously, since I've had this book inside of my inbox for quite a while, I really thought that this issue was #1. I didn't even notice that this was issue 2, and I don't remember issue 1 even coming out. But that's okay. Because I was very much able to hop in and read it because it's an anthology. We actually get 2 different stories inside of this. And now here's how further out of touch I am with what this book is. I know the title Vampire Masquerade. I completely forgot that it's based on a role-playing game. I actually really like that role-playing game, even though I've never actually played it. I have read some of the compendiums, and I love the stories and some of the setups that they have inside of them, and so I am familiar with it, but it didn't connect. And so, but having said that, I really enjoyed reading this title. I'm really kind of burned out on vampire stories, and but this was really well done. The let's see here. It's because it's an anthology. You got a couple of different writers, a couple of different artists, and I enjoyed both stories. I thought the dialogue and the writing in the first story was really masterfully done, and then the second story, I really liked the plot. If you're into vampire stuff, you'll love it. If you're burned out on vampire stuff, I really think that you'll dig it. I did, and I'm on board for the next issue. I'd like to see these stories continue. I don't know if they will. It kind of seems like they're setup stories, so I'm really kind of seeing what they're going to do with it in the next issue. But this was definitely a good read, so I would definitely recommend it. I love some of the stuff that Vault Comics is putting out, and this was really well done. So there you go. So next up on the list is The Rise of Ultraman #1, and this one by, of all things, Marvel Comics. Love it. And this is written by Kyle Higgins and Matt Groom, and the art is by Ed McGuinness. Now, I have been waiting for this book to come out for some time. I was a huge fan of Ultraman in the when I was a kid growing up, especially the 1966 show Ultraman, which became syndicated in my area. I was 7 years old, so 1972, 73 is when I started watching this, and there was nothing like it on TV. Like I said earlier, I used to run home from school just so I could catch the beginning of the episode and hear that famous Ultraman song, and it was just my jam. There was nothing else on TV like it, science fiction wise, especially for kids. You had giant kaiju monsters, you had special effects, you had these titanic battles, and it was just a lot of fun, and it was really my jam. And so having not only one of my favorite things from when I was a kid, but also to be brought into comics and in one of my favorite comic companies, trifecta, that's awesome stuff. So if you don't know what the premise is, there's this organization on Earth called the United Science Patrol, and they guard the Earth from otherworldly phenomenon, basically monsters. And at this one particular point, there's this guy named Hayata. He's flying in his jet, patrolling, and at that particular moment, these 2 UFOs come into the atmosphere, one chasing the other, and the one that's doing the chasing accidentally hits Hayata's plane and kills him. And inside that plane is our hero Ultraman, and he feels bad that he took Hayata's life by accident, and so he gives him his own life. He melds himself with Hayata to resurrect him, and he allows Hayata to go on as Hayata, but he also has the ability to be the avatar for Ultraman when the need comes up. So he gives him this thing called a beta capsule, and when he presses it, he turns into the giant Ultraman to battle whatever threat. And kind of like think of Donald Blake as Thor, when he used to be able to, bring the hammer down and turn into Thor for a period of time. Same type of premise. And so once that happens, Hayata, with Science Patrol, battles all these giant creatures for the whole season. And at the end of the first season, Ultraman gets hurt very badly, and somebody from his planet comes to take him back to their home planet, and he vows he'll one day return. And so that's what this book is kind of setting up. In the very beginning, we get this little scene of what happened in 1966. Doesn't give you the full story, but it jumps to 2020, and here we have somebody named Shin Hayata. Now, I don't know if they're setting up this guy as this is the same Hayata, and all this time he hasn't aged because he still has a connection to Ultraman, or if this is Hayata's son. Don't know. They haven't really explained that yet inside of the book, but we finally get a little inkling of Ultraman by the end of the book, and a possibility of this melding happening again because threats are coming to Earth. Now, I really like what Kyle Higgins has done inside of this book, because if you don't get the reader or the viewer into the main characters of the story, then they're just focusing on Ultraman and he takes over the whole thing. And since he only shows up at certain points, that doesn't make for good storytelling, and you'll probably drop off of it. So I think he took this first issue to try to give us a little more of the main characters so that we can see who they are and get into what they're doing and what their driving forces are before we actually get into who Ultraman is and how he helps them out as they go. And so I was kind of disappointed at first that we didn't have the big Ultraman reveal that I'd like to see, but knowing how the original show went and understanding the dynamics of this story, I really think that Kyle Higgins and Matt Groom did the right thing by focusing on the characters so that you understand who they are first before you start getting all geeked out on Ultraman. So anyway, it's an awesome first read. I like the artwork. I love the coloring, and I really can't wait to see the next book. There are a couple of shorter stories in the back of the book. I didn't have time to read those, so I can't review those, but definitely pick up The Rise of the Ultraman #1. I really think you'll like it. All right, our next book is Something is Killing the Children, #10. This is, of course, by Boom Studios, written by James Tynion IV, and art by Werther Deladera. So here we have another great read in this series. We're 10 issues in, and I don't think I've read a bad book yet in this whole run. This one heats up a little bit more than the last book, and last book was absolutely crazy. And really through this whole year, the pace has changed because they finally gave us some a little bit of backstory into the main character Erica and the House of Slaughter and the Order of St. George. And I've really been enjoying that stuff because, from the very beginning, I've wanted to know who she is, where she came from, why she's such a badass. So I really appreciated that James Tynion finally started to give us a little backstory, started to kind of fill out some of this stuff. And so he did that, which I really appreciated. But let's not digress. I mean, this book is about something is killing the children, and man, did he come right back to that really, I'll quote Robbie, that gut-punching, gut-wrenching way of storytelling that makes this book just a fun ride to be on. It's a great horror title. So we have this book really heating up in such a way that not only are these creatures, coming and killing the children, but now it's happened out in the open, and just absolutely crazy. And we get some pretty visceral scenes that happen at the same time we have Erica coming on the scene, and another one of her society, and an interaction between them, and I really enjoyed that as well. This is a book that I look forward to every month. I can't say enough good about it. James Tynion is really killing it when he's this year, when he's coming to the stuff that he's doing with the Joker War, and the stuff that he's doing on this title, and I really can't wait to see what he does next. He's got some great stuff coming out, but definitely one that if you're not on this title, pick up the trade, get caught up, get into this book, because it's pretty freaking awesome. Okay, next we have Stealth, number 5. This one is by Image Comics, written by Mike Costa and art by Nate Bellegrade, and of course the colors by the infamous Tamara Bonvillain. This book continues to impress. I've been really digging the title since the very beginning, and I love the premise. You have a superhero title where the superhero is dealing with dementia. Talk about a dichotomy. It's just been awesome since the very beginning, the way they've handled the issue of dementia, the main character's family dynamics between him and his son, and him dealing with this debilitating disease. He kind of knows that he does have it because he's been fighting to kind of hold on to reality. I think last book was phenomenal, the way they showed the battle inside of his mind and how it unfolds. And so we get a little more of that out in the open inside of this book. In the very beginning, we have him going after his main nemesis, this guy called the Dead Hand. And it's pretty cool. He catches up with him, and he's beating the tar out of him. But while he's beating him, he keeps telling him, "Where's the girl?" And Dead Hand is kind of confused until he starts to realize that the girl he's talking about is something, a girl that had been kidnapped 40 years ago. And Stealth is acting like it's happening today, that this girl has been kidnapped and he needs to know where she's at. And so this kind of freaks out Dead Hand. He's like, "You're crazy." And so he runs up the street and turns himself into a police officer. And so the police officer takes him. Of course, that makes Stealth back off. But in this car ride to the jailhouse, the police officer asks him how he got the name Dead Hand, and we start to get the backstory and origin of this villain. Really cool read, a lot of fun. By the end of the book, we're set up for the next issue, which is the final issue, and I can't wait for it. This book, I really, in the first couple of issues, I dinged the artwork a bit because it was a bit disjointed, and there was some things in there that just weren't as polished as I would normally like to see it. But in the last 2 issues, the artwork by Nate Bellegrade has really been stepped up a notch, and this book is really freaking awesome when it comes to the artwork. So check out Stealth number 5. It's been an awesome read so far. I gave the first 4 books to Bueller a couple of weeks ago. I hope he's been reading it because it's just awesome, and I hope he enjoys it too. So anyway, guys, Stealth, definitely check it out because it's a different take on a superhero in an indie book, and I'm loving it. Okay, so next we have Dark Knight's Death Metal Trinity Crisis one-shot. Of course, this is by DC Comics, written by Scott Snyder, art by Francis Manapul. Now, I have been loving this series, and I've been looking forward to these one-shots this month. And this first one does exactly what I was hoping that it would do, which is basically not be just a standalone, but be part of the larger narrative. And that's kind of what's happening. We had this event where this place that we got to in the story where we have a couple of different things going on. And so this month it's kind of branched off to tell those different things so that we can get back into the main thread, and that's what we're doing here. So we had our main heroes, our Trinity, and this so the premise of this one is that we have our main heroes, the Trinity, basically going to the lair of the Batman Who Laughs. Now, Batman Who Laughs has set up 3 different worlds in the Dark Multiverse that are Crisis worlds. So you have Crisis on Infinite Earths, you have Infinite Crisis, and you have Final Crisis. And they set them up so that they never actually end the crisis, but they're in perpetual crisis all the time, and they're filtering crisis energy to Perpetua, who feeds off of that, and she's using it to basically destroy their reality. And the plan is to go and hijack that crisis energy and redirect it so that they can use it for their own to to remake the multiverse is basically what it is. And so now we get that plan, being put into fruition, and they're on their way to the lair of the Batman Who Laughs, and it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's so much fun. We get so many more of the amalgamated bats, which has been just such a lot of fun. There's a great comedy. This is like everything that I have hoped for in a crisis or a large event in comic books. It pulls on so many different things that I love from the DC universe, creating something new, but making it fun and exciting and bombastic and in your face, and I just can't wait for the next issue. So the next issue is basically Speed Metal, which is going to focus on the speedsters and getting back over to Wally West and what's going on there. Of course, last issue we had the Batman Who Laughs started chasing them, because if he could gain the power of Wally West, then he would be stronger than Perpetua, and so we have that piece of it going on. I can't wait for it. And then of course all this is going to filter right back into the next issue of Dark Knight's Death Metal, and I can't wait. So this has been such an awesome read. I did have this chosen as my pick of the week in the Thunderdome that Bueller has going on. It's still a solid read. It's not my pick of the week on as far as the comics that I read this week, but you definitely don't want to miss out on what's going on. It's been a lot of fun. All right, so our next book we have Joker, Harley, Criminal Sanity number 5. Of course, this is done by the DC Black Label. This is the magazine format prestige books that they've been putting out. And this particular title I've absolutely loved. It's so great. Now, last month it was kind of a weird issue. Now, we've had the story evolving all the way up until the book last month. And last month it was just basically like an informational thing. It was Harley's case file on the Joker. It was just kind of weird to have that break up the storyline, but it doesn't really break it up, because as we start this book, we have the Joker basically showing up in Harley's apartment and holding her hostage so that he can have a conversation with her, because he read that case file. And so I just took a cursory glance on it last month. I didn't really fully read it. I'm going to go back and read it now just so I can see what he was saying and why he wants to have this compelling conversation with her. But bottom line is that he can kill her at any point, but we start to hear inside of his mind that that's not going to be the case, because he realizes she's about the only one who can chronicle what he's doing. And if there's anything that a psychopath serial killer loves, is to have what he's doing immortalized. And so he's looking towards her to do that for him, and he believes that she's the only one who can. We do have our first allusion inside of this book to the fact that Harley, even though she's a great investigator, that she's also a psychopath, which I knew was coming. So the change into Harley Quinn is imminent within the next 3 books. So I'm on board for it. The artwork inside of this is amazing. You have a duo team with Miko Suyan and Jason Badauer, and you can tell the differences in their artwork. One of them has this black and white surrealistic style, and then the other one does these amazing color spreads that usually come from either memories or different parts of the story, but it's just a beautiful, beautiful book. And then Cami Garcia, she's really been doing a phenomenal job in building out this story. I love this take on Harley Quinn, and so anyway, can't wait for next month. This has been an awesome title, and it just a lot of great comics came out this week, folks. I mean, this was a really good week. Okay, so now on to our pick of the week. And this week's pick of the week is Ice Cream Man Quarantine Comic Special. This is a one-shot by Image Comics. Now, during the quarantine, and when we didn't have new comics, Image, I think, well, I shouldn't say Image, the imprint Quarantine Comics started putting out these little one-shots of Ice Cream Man that you paid $2 for every couple of weeks. And they were very short stories, like 4 or 5 pages. And I was able to pick up I didn't pick all of them up. I picked up a few of them. And again, I mentioned that I was in the Thunderdome and making my pick of the week this week. I picked the Dark Knight's Death Metal Trinity Crisis when normally on a month like this, if I see Ice Cream Man, I'm usually picking it because it's usually my pick of the week, because I just love Ice Cream Man. But this one, I didn't make my pick of the week in that Thunderdome because I had already read a few of these, and they're good, right? But I didn't think that they were as good as a normal, full issue of Ice Cream Man. I didn't get all of them, so I didn't get the full force of what was going on. These are amazing stories. Not only did I get caught up on the ones that I missed, but there are other artists and writers that they opened it up to do short stories in the Ice Cream Man kind of universe, whatever you want to call it. People like Al Ewing and Christopher Cantwell. And anyway, there are so many stories inside of this book that was just phenomenally done. There's a story that's a taxi cab ride inside of this that is very poetically written. I love the way Maxwell Prince uses the English language in the way he's writing this, and it's a fun story. But if you really let that story sink into you and you think about it, it really messed with me that day. That I read this comic, and that was just one of the stories inside of this book. Anyway, I should have known better. This is a phenomenal, collection of short Ice Cream Man stories. This is one you definitely want to pick up. It was a lot of fun. It's very creepy, very, very well written. And, I'm just still constantly blown away by how much this title really, really resonates with me, messes with me, and it takes me on these fun rides. And so definitely, you don't have to have any prior knowledge of any other Ice Cream Man story to pick this one up and enjoy it. So do so, because it's really good. So that's my pick of the week, folks. I hope you pick it up for yourselves. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments. Are you enjoying Ice Cream Man? Because I know I sure the heck am. Okay, so that's the reviews, folks. And so as we end the show, we always have our panel of the week. And this week's panel of the week is, I don't want to vilify violence in any way, shape, or form. But this one comes from the Joker Harley Criminal Sanity book that came out this week. And it's a pretty gruesome scene, but the way it was done is so incredible. And I'm talking about, there's this scene with young Joker, and he has this point where he slits this guy's throat, and the exaggeration and the blood flying is just so freaking well done. I looked at it, my eyes popped out. So I'm not trying to promote, massive violence by this. And I don't know what it says about me that this is my panel of the week, but I sure geeked out over it because I just thought it was so phenomenal, and it just popped. And so there it is. That's my panel of the week, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. What was your panel of the week? Let me know. Okay, folks, so that's the show. I hope you enjoyed it. There's a lot of great books that came out this week. There were more that I read that I didn't review. And so, pretty much wherever you pick up this week, you're going to pick up something good. But before we go, I just wanted to say something, and I know I've mentioned this before. And look, you know me, I'm a pastor, and I by no way, in any shape or form, want to push my religion on anybody. But with things that are going on in the world right now, my concern is for people that don't have hope. And it's very easy when you have something like a pandemic happen, and then you have hurricanes that happen, and then you have massive wildfires that are just devastating everything that happen. You can have people lose hope very quickly. And I just want to let you know that I completely identify with where you're at. 2020 has been a horrible year. And I just really feel for a lot of people who have been devastated by it, who are emotionally just going through the motions, just trying to make it day by day. I just want to let you know that I'm here for you, and I'm willing to pray for you. If you need prayer, that's the thing I just want to say. If you need prayer, I don't want you to hesitate. You feel free to email me, bullseyeBobEC@outlook.com. And let me know. I'll send you my phone number. We can talk. But I'd love to pray with you. Let me know what your prayer needs are. But we could all use a little hope. And I'd love to be able to speak with you or pray for you. And that's one of my gifts is encouragement. And I'd just love to encourage your soul. And but there's just so much going on in the world right now that we have no control over, and sometimes it can seem like there's no end in sight. And I would love to be able to give you a little hope, okay, folks? And so I hope that doesn't offend anybody. I'm not here to try to offend you. I just want to know that I care. And if you need to talk to somebody, I'm here, okay? Thank you very much for watching, folks. It's just, I'm so happy to be back. Of course, hopefully the fires go away soon, because we're still in a bad place. But, you know, I'll be here. I'll be at the Refuge next week, finally. I'm looking forward to getting back there and filming again. And, of course, I'll be on the brand new Coffee and Comic show this Monday. And so check me out there. But folks, it's very trying times, and I really appreciate all the support that you've given the show. Remember, folks, always support your local comic shop, and Excelsior. Y'all take care.
I'm gonna rearrange your face if you continue to debate whether Logan's claws could pierce Steve Rogers'